Beloved Madridistas, welcome back to the channel. I'm glad to report we're back at full strength, feeling a lot better. I'm getting ready to go to Cibeles in a little bit to watch our players wrap the scarf around the goddess for the first time, hopefully for the first of two times this year, and hopefully we'll be back there on June the 2nd. Listen, before we get started, I just want to say thank you for all the well wishes, all the comments. I had no idea that this channel would grow the way it has, and I had no idea that the engagement would be as cool as it is. So I'm, really, really grateful for all the support and all the comments. So I just wanted to say thank you for all of that. Okay, we're going to talk about the Granada match today, and I want to do it a little bit differently. Look, before the match started, Granada had already been relegated to the second division. We were already champions. This was practically an exhibition match. I mean, I read somewhere that this was the most uneven match in the history of La Liga. So we had never had two teams play that had a 66-point difference between the two. So listen, in terms of the lineups and how the players play, this has a massive impact. So I don't want to do player ratings. What I do want to do is give you guys some comments about players individually with a view towards Wembley, with a view towards how we manage the next 3 weeks, and even with a view towards next year. And I'll leave you guys with a couple of takeaways, even a couple of thoughts on Mbappe coming. So listen, thanks for all the well wishes once again. Thanks for joining me. Let's talk about the Granada match in the broader context of Wembley, etc. All right, let's get started. All right, Madridistas, welcome back. Okay, let's talk about the Granada match and some of the players, etc. Okay, first of all, it was really nice to see at the beginning of the match that Granada did the, what we call the pasillo, the sort of corridor of champions where they honor the winner of the Liga. This is kind of a tradition, which I think you guys are aware of. This happens everywhere. There have been some cases historically where teams haven't wanted to do that for Real Madrid. I think Atletico rebelled once. But anyway, it was very, very nice to see, especially considering the state of mind that Granada and their players were in, because going to second division, I mean, it's a brutally difficult thing. But they were very, very classy about that. Now, in terms of the lineup, look, obviously the next 3 weeks are all about player management. So the lineup wasn't terribly surprising. We had Courtois, who obviously needs to play more minutes. In defense, Lucas Vázquez on the right, Rudiger and Militao in the middle. Mili also needs more minutes, and Fran Garcia on the left. In the middle, Modric, Camavinga, Ceballos, and Arda Güler, and up front, Joselu Brahim. I don't think the formation was particularly surprising. Now, that he's going to be alternating rotations in the next 3 weeks. Obviously, with a view towards Wembley and making sure that Ancelotti has all of his options available for that match. Now, listen, this was just, like I say, kind of a training session. I think the players, when there's nothing on the line, they tend to be a lot looser. They tend to play a lot more freely, and they like to kind of show off their skills a lot more, which I think really sometimes makes matches fun to watch. But let's talk about some of the players individually. By the way, let me just mention this. These are the remaining matches in La Liga. So there are 3 matches left. And again, Carlos' job is going to be to do the rotations in a way that he keeps everybody in shape and everybody ready without risking, injuries to key players. So that's going to be up to Ancelotti. But let's get started on the players. Now, Courtois, It's kind of, we're all watching him like a hawk because we want to see what kind of condition he's in. He didn't have a lot of work in this match. There was one occasion where he had to come out of the area and head a ball away, but he did show a lot of kind of physical confidence in terms of, crashing into the other player. He didn't seem to show any kind of fear. He looked okay. But, in terms of Courtois, I mean, we really need to think about the Wembley situation. And there are a lot of different views. I listen to all the YouTubers out here, and, there are a lot of different views. I mean, some people are absolutely convinced that Courtois is going to start in Wembley. I have to say, and I'd love to hear your opinion as well, I'm in the other camp. I think that Lunin is playing at a standard that gives us an enormous amount of confidence. I think he has one of the key pieces that brought us to where we are. I think that we need to respect his contribution this year and respect the form that he's in. And I think that he should start in the final. I really do. Like, look, we know Courtois did magical things a couple of years ago, and we know that, when he comes back to form, he'll probably be the best goalkeeper in the world again. But, we don't really have proof of that yet. I mean, I still have a sense of slight insecurity. In the stadium the other day, he felt to me like he was a little bit heavier. My uncle also noticed it. There are still a couple of things that I'm a little bit unsure about. And again, I think we need to respect Lunin's contribution, and I think that he deserves to be in the final. So that's certainly what I'm hoping to see. But I'd love to hear your opinions. Now, listen, in terms of, the rest of the squad, I mean, Lucas Vázquez, solid game. Fran Garcia, surprisingly good. I mean, I pick on him a lot in attack because he tends to be a bit of a scatterbrain. But he did make great contributions in this match, including his first goal. So that was really great to see. Now, the other player that we really need to discuss is Militao. Now, there's something a little bit off. And I'm trying to figure out kind of what it is. And I don't know if it's positioning or speed or, he doesn't feel as present to me as mobile or active. He just isn't the presence that we all recall. And I'm a little, look, I understand he's coming off a very long injury and he needs time to get back into shape. But I am concerned that, I'm not sure that 2 or 3 weeks is enough. And again, if you ask me, and if this were a decision I had to make, I'm not sure that I would start Militao. Now, things can change in the next 3 weeks, I guess. But right now, I think, Nacho has done such an extraordinary job, and Rudiger has been fantastic. And, even Tchouaméni in that position, we won't be available for the final probably, but I think, Nacho has certainly played well enough, I think, to deserve to be in the final. And I think he just gives us a lot more confidence because he is clearly match fit and has clearly played very well in very difficult matches. And I just think that playing Militao in Wembley would be a very, very big risk. So that's just my view, but we'll have to see what happens in the next 3 weeks. Camavinga, listen, let's keep in mind, he had a great game as always. I mean, he's, running around like crazy, doing everything, stealing balls, quick, fast, everything that I've always complimented him for. It'll be interesting to see what Ancelotti does on Tuesday. Because don't forget, we're not sure Tchouaméni is going to be available for Wembley. I think his foot requires surgery, and it's quite likely that Camavinga will have to play in Wembley in that pivot position because I don't think Tchouaméni is going to be available, or that's what I'm hearing. So it'll be interesting to see how Ancelotti manages Camavinga's minutes. There were a couple of plays yesterday where he looked like maybe he could get injured, and we were all petrified. So that it'll be another interesting thing to see in terms of how he manages Camavinga. Okay, Luka Modric. This is another really interesting discussion that I have a lot with my uncle because Modric is such a legend of the club, and it's still uncertain. There's been no official announcement whether he's going to stay or go next year. They could renew him for one more year if they wanted to. Look, I discussed a lot with my uncle. He's very adamant that we should renew him for another year. I'm maybe a little bit less certain. I think that the quality is always there. I mean, whenever Modric plays, the quality is there. The intelligence, the technique, it's always there. It's really just a matter of how much he can contribute physically. And, he has played 70, 80 minutes in some matches recently, but in very, very big, physical matches, I think he's better off the bench, maybe 20, 30 minutes. So I don't know. I'm a little bit conflicted because you see what guys like Brahim and Arda Güler do, and that this is kind of the next generation. So it's a very difficult thing because, emotionally we love Modric. He's a legend. I mean, but there are going to be a lot of tears shed in this city when he leaves because he is absolutely adored. And he got a standing ovation in Granada, which I thought was also very classy. But with a view to the future, the minutes that Modric plays potentially next year are minutes that Arda could play. So I'm a little bit less sure. I don't know if he'll be renewed or not, but my inclination would be not to. My uncle disagrees, but I'd love to hear your views on that as well. In terms of the other players, look, Ceballos, I think, has shown us, once again, I just don't think that this player is good enough for this club. He did okay the last couple of years in some of his interventions, but he does not have the consistency that we need. He does not have the flow that we need. He doesn't necessarily bring the physicality that we need. He's just, every time Ceballos plays, you're kind of left with a sort of bland taste in your mouth. I mean, it's too many games underperforming, and I just think Ceballos, is a player that we almost certainly can do without, as harsh as that may sound. Okay, let's talk about Arda. I mean, this guy, for a player that hasn't played many minutes, he is so prolific in front of goal. I mean, it's really staggering. I mean, this kid, and Ancelotti mentioned it in the press conference, that Arda has a composure in front of goal that's exceptional. And every time he plays, he leaves us these beautiful little displays of technique. Some of the passes, some of the dribbles, some of the flicks. He had a pass in the 80th minute that was just insane. This kid is incredibly talented. I think we need to give him more minutes. But he's a natural, just sort of a natural in the sport. You can just tell he's special, he's different. And I really, really need to see more of him going forward. Okay, we have to talk about Brahim. He was the superstar of the match. I didn't do player ratings, but if I did, he'd get a 10. Brahim this is just an incredible thing. I mean, he put on a clinic yesterday, and he can score with the right foot, he can score with the left foot, he can provide assists, he can dribble through anybody, he holds the ball well, the ball is always just stuck to his foot. I don't know how he does it. It kind of, it sort of reminds you of the kind of Maradona's Messi's. They always had the ball so close to their foot. They always managed to tap the ball before the defender. Brahim is an extraordinary talent, a real blessing to have in this squad, and he's just, again, impressing us, and just one of those players that it's just we need to see more of in the future. And then just, kind of from a humorous standpoint, it was funny that Joselu, it was funny that he missed, 2 or 3 really easy chances. And it's hilarious because when he needed to be a killer in front of goal, which was the 2 goals against Bayern, this guy knows when, he knows when to screw up, because if there was a match to miss opportunities, it was Granada. And if there was a match where we really needed you, it was against Bayern. So he can miss all he wants against Granada. He's eternally forgiven. Those 2 goals against Bayern, this guy will have a statue and will be eternally forgiven for everything going forward. Now, in terms of kind of broader takeaways, and I'm going to mention this again, and I've said it before, there is something so extraordinary about the chemistry in this team. I mean, you've got players like Arda Güler, Brahim, who are unbelievable players who haven't played as many minutes as they deserve. And yet they come out with such a positive attitude, with such high energy, playing with intensity, trying to make a difference. They're smiling, they're happy. The chemistry with their colleagues, there's no resentment. The chemistry in this club right now is about as positive as I think you can get, and it's extraordinary that players of this caliber can understand their situation and not be resentful and just feel like they're happy to be part of the bigger picture, and it's an extraordinary thing to see. So I have to mention the chemistry aspect, which is exceptional, and I give a lot of credit to Florentino Perez for instilling this kind of level of excellence and tranquility all the way down the club from the top to the bottom. And I give incredible credit to Ancelotti for his calm demeanor, his ability to make every player feel important, and to rotate in a really intelligent way and to keep spirits up. So they deserve, in terms of chemistry, we need to say that. And in terms of quality, again, the quality in this squad is ridiculous. I mean, I've been watching this team for half a century. I mean, the quality, considering the youth, the quality of the squad is absolutely exceptional. The Ardas, the Brahims, Rodrigo, Bini, everybody, Camavinga, and now you've got Mbappe coming and Endrick. I mean, it's just the level of skill in the squad is absolutely mouthwatering. And again, it's just something I have to mention because it's not something that you see every generation, and it takes a long time to get a group of players like this. So we need to appreciate it and enjoy it. And finally, I want to leave you guys with a little thought on Mbappe because, I mean, if you're Kylian, what are you thinking right now? I mean, if you're Mbappe, you're thinking, but let's just put it this way. Mbappe is not coming, a lot of people are worried about chemistry and are they going to get along? Is he going to be a prima donna? No. Mbappe is coming here with his tail between his legs, and he is not coming to save Real Madrid. Real Madrid is saving Mbappe. Okay, Mbappe is a guy that has tried desperately to become a European champion. He's run into walls constantly, us being one of them, and he knows that coming to this club is a privilege, and this team can win without him. I think he's very well aware of that now. And I think that any concerns about chemistry, etc., we can put them aside. I mean, Kylian knows where he's coming. He's coming to a place he should have been 2 years ago, and he knows this. And he knows that this club is bigger. This club doesn't need him. And he's the one that is the lucky one to be joining this institution. So I think he knows this. He's a smart guy. And I think, for those of you concerned about chemistry, don't, because I can just imagine what's going through Kylian's mind right now. But anyway, listen, those are just my thoughts on the Granada match. Like I say, I'm going to Cibeles, which is going to be a lot of fun, and I'll try to take some footage for you guys and put it up on the next video. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you for joining me as always, and thanks again for the well wishes. Okay, and as always, a la Madrid.